We begin with Gaza, where the hope had been for a ceasefire, but where the reality today is an expanded ground operation by the Israeli military. The UK has joined 25 other nations to call for an immediate end to the war, warning that the suffering of civilians had reached horrific new depths. In the last few minutes, Israel has rejected that, saying it's disconnected from reality. Aid agencies say Israeli troops entered the city of Deir al-Balah this morning and at least 3 Palestinians have been killed. We'll have more on the politics in just a moment with our correspondent Liz Bates in Westminster. But first, the situation on the ground in Gaza. Lisa Holland joins us now from Jerusalem. Lisa, just tell us more about this offensive underway in Gaza.
Well, the Israel Defense Forces have issued displacement orders, new displacement orders, to thousands of Gazans in the central Gaza Strip around this area, Deir al-Balah. And we have seen in the last few hours pictures of strikes, of potentially tank fire going on in that central district. Now, I mean, what we can take from that is that in spite of these warnings of a dire humanitarian situation, in spite of political calls for an immediate and unconditional ceasefire that we've heard now from more than 20 countries today, including, of course, the United Kingdom, that Israel quite simply is not listening. Of course, Israel stands accused of weaponizing food distribution. I have to say that even over the course of the last week or so, the food situation on the ground seems to be dramatically deteriorating by the day. The Gaza Health Ministry, although we can't independently verify these figures, saying that around 20 or so people have died of malnourishment over the course of the last 24 hours, including children and adults, and describing a real severe chronic shortage now of food and fuel on the ground. Of course, we saw the biggest single loss of life in an incident since the ceasefire broke down in March at a place called Zakim, which is a border crossing between Gaza and Israel. That happened yesterday, around 100 people killed. This wasn't at an official aid distribution site, but people who'd gone to try and grab food from trucks as they were crossing over the border. Now, the UN says that in neighbouring countries, in Egypt and Jordan, it's got ready and waiting enough food to feed all of Gaza, all of Gaza's 2 million population for 3 months, but that Israel won't let those trucks cross over the border. And that gives you a sense of this desperate situation on the ground in Gaza.
Lisa, thank you very much indeed. Let's join Liz Bates at Westminster. And Keir Starmer trying to step up the pressure on Israel, issuing this joint statement with other countries talking about horrifying and inhumane killings. But Israel don't seem to be taking much notice.
No, they don't. And as you say, Keir Starmer, he's been in front of the liaison committee today. He spoke about domestic issues, but also international issues. And unsurprisingly, the situation on the ground in Gaza came up. Andy Slaughter, one of the committee chairs, that really pressed him on it and said that many voters and the UK public would like to see what the UK is really doing to put pressure to alleviate this humanitarian crisis. And the Prime Minister said that the UK, alongside international partners, was doing everything that they could in terms of sanctions and arms sales and, of course, political pressure. And this is the latest round of political pressure. We have been seeing the rhetoric around this issue really ramping up over recent months from the UK government and others. And this is a statement, a joint statement alongside 25 other countries, in which the rhetoric has ramped up once again. It begins, "We, the signatories listed below, come together with a simple, urgent message. The war in Gaza must end now." It also describes, it does touch on the hostages which are still being held by Hamas, and says they continue to suffer terribly. But it goes on. "We call on the Israeli government to immediately lift restrictions on the flow of aid." This was something the Prime Minister talked about. "To urgently enable the UN and the humanitarian NGOs to do their life-saving work safely and effectively. It finishes, we are prepared to take further action to support an immediate ceasefire and a political pathway to security and peace for Israelis, Palestinians and the entire region. But we have had a response on social media from the Israeli Foreign Ministry quite quickly and clearly not happy with this joint statement. What it says is, Israel rejects the joint statement published by a group of countries as it is disconnected from reality and sends the wrong message to Hamas. It goes on, it goes on, as these sensitive moments in the ongoing negotiations, it is better to avoid statements of this kind. And we have seen this dynamic emerge before. More and more political pressure from UK and many other countries, the US in a rather different position, but the Israelis really standing firm and rejecting once again this joint statement. And so the push for a ceasefire continues from the UK, but even though they are trying to send this message out very loudly, it is still not being heard in Israel.